So I'm out here at Little Prince of Oregon. I'm with Ryan, and we're going to be talking about our plant pick, which is Tillandsias. Now, Ryan, it's a big family with a lot of different plants.
It is. There's hundreds and hundreds of different varieties of Tillandsias, also known as air plants.
Yes.
As for people that might not know the botanical know more as that. But it is a huge family of plants.
Well, and they've become really popular again lately, but I think one of the things that they're intriguing because they're so cool and different, but yet a lot of us still really aren't sure on how we can maintain them to their best. So let's talk about a little bit of the culture of them.
Sure. So air plants or Tillandsias are typically grown in like a rainforest setting. It's where they're grown in large trees out in the woods. So they don't, up in, here in the Northwest, they're not going to be hardy outside. They're not going to be growing on your oak tree down the street kind of thing.
Lichens will cover that for us.
We have our own versions. But so they are a tropical plant, and they are used for an indoor purposes.
So when they're growing, then we hear a lot of times you just mist them. All you have to do is mist them. Does that come because they're up in trees and they get tropical rains daily?
Right. So they like the humidity. They like the moisture. They like to, they need to be watered because they are a plant.
Yeah.
They're just not grown in soil and do not require soil to grow in.
And when you do water them, is just spraying them right on top the best way to go?
I mean, there's a couple different routes. Some people will just mist them with, take a little thing and squirt a little water on them, which is probably not enough water over the long period of time. The best would be probably to take the plant and about once a week, submerge it in a bucket of water and let it sit there and soak it all up and rehydrate. You can leave it in there a half hour. Some people have done it, overnight. You just don't want it sitting in water all the time because it does need to dry out.
I noticed on this one in your hand, you've got some roots on it, but those really aren't that important.
Right, so they will grow a root like this, but the purpose of the root on the air plants is not for sucking in water.
Okay.
So these are, since they're growing in a tree, they send out a root to attach themselves to the tree to basically hold them in for support. It's not for the sucking up the water. They're going to take on the water generally through the foliage.
Okay.
And that's where the misting or submerging them
will help
that out.
Well, and I have to say, with all of them that I see, I don't see a lot of blooms. On this right here, though, I see 1, 2, there's one here, and then one here is even budding.
This is a bud coming on those.
So is that unusual?
No, a lot of them will get a flower on them of some sort, but typically you won't see a lot of the flowering. It's maybe like a once a year kind of flowering, and as they get to a certain age. So younger ones might not necessarily bloom until they get older.
Well, now, go ahead.
Yeah, so, once they do get some bloom, but most people are using them for the foliage color and the texture is where you're primarily buying it.
And speaking of the foliage color and texture, I see a lot of different ways that you have displayed these. Let's go over there and start with the trees.
So this was just kind of a fun branch that we found. I think this is a little manzanita branch. We just thought you could stick it in a pot with the soil, just to gives it kind of a fun texture. It kind of mimics what it looks like in nature. We strung up, this is Spanish moss, which is actually a living version. This is a living Tillandsia.
Yes.
Tillandsia is a Spanish moss.
Wonderful.
And so this is just another variety of it, which will also need to be watered as well. And so it makes kind of a fun decoration. And we just set these, these are just setting.
Just set them right on there.
Setting right on there. So it makes it easy. You can take them off, soak them in the water, and then just put them back up on the branch when you're done. And then you can change them around.
This looks a little bit more modernistic, though. I like this approach.
It is. This is kind of a fun way to do it. We sell these. It's a little called a satellite, is what we call them. And it's basically got a little screw end on the wall, and just screw it into into plywood. You could screw it into your board on the wall. Yeah. Anything like that. And they just kind of sit in there.
That's really easy.
And so then you can kind of put them up and decorate and they hold a variety of different sizes. And so we just put this on the board just to kind of give you an idea. You can use an old picture frame. You can go right into your plywood or
and speaking of old picture frames, that's almost like what this one is, kind of.
Yeah. So these are just once again just set right down in there. This is designed to either be set on the wall, on the tabletop. It can hang on a wall like a picture, and just kind of a framed art.
And then I see a whole bunch of different options here. It's really pretty. You can pretty much put them anywhere, can't you?
You can. I mean, this is just a little glass bowl. You can go down to a craft store and buy this. Throw some little rocks in there. These are not planted in there.
They're just stuck in there.
Set in there just to kind of give you a little display purposes like that. You could put little seashells and decorate them up with different themes if you wanted to. when you're ready, we mist them or take them and soak them in the water.
So it's really, this is a great idea. If you're thinking, you want something that's easy to take care of, but you want some really cool color or textures, you can go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website. You can find out who carries these plants and get a selection and some ideas of ones you might want to go pick up at your own garden center that you love shopping at. So thank you so much for all this information, Ron. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, William.